All right, hello everybody. My name is Elena. I'm an artist with a psych degree. It will be a quick stream today, but I had about a half an hour break in between the project I'm working on and also teaching. So I thought, why not? The YouTube will not fill itself with the content. The Instagram will not fill itself with the content. Also, I got really tired from standing and sitting in weird positions, so I will keep moving around during the stream. I hope you don't mind. So my streams really are just for people who are looking for something A, relaxing, and B, useful, right? This is what it is about. I am usually streaming here and then I'm re-uploading it on YouTube, and this is also where I'm adding the chapters so it's easier to navigate. Okay. So number one, I would like to talk a little bit about what emotional work is, because I think nowadays whenever somebody says emotional work, it's like one of those trigger words where people are thinking, oh my goodness, someone is doing some sort of a work that they're not being paid for, because obviously you're not being paid for emotional work. It's something that we do for each other on a daily basis. And a lot of times it provokes a feeling of guilt in the people who are listening about someone else doing emotional work for them, and therefore the subject is kind of sensitive, right? It's becoming sensitive and we don't quite want to engage in that, which I understand. One of the things really to remember about anything is that nothing good grows from guilt, ever. So if you want to explain something to somebody, going through guilt and overpowering them through guilt will never lead you anywhere. That just applies to all aspects of life. But let me get back to the topic of emotional work and what it is. So emotional work is managing emotions of other people that you are engaging with. It can be your partner, it can be your relatives, it can be your brothers and sisters, it can be your students, it can be your co-workers, it can be pretty much anybody who is in your circle. And when you are in touch with those people, you are managing their emotions while simultaneously also managing and keeping yourself in check. Most of the time, we don't really think about it, and it's a good thing when we really don't. But as we progress, as our civilization grows further and further and further, we do start to think of things that people from earlier generations before us just had no chance of thinking about at all. So what I mean by that is that by the time you are 16, you would be married and you would probably have children by the time you're 20, and then you would die around 30 or 40 years old. There is really no way you would have had the time to think about complex concepts on top of surviving, because if you have so much to do to just survive, you have no time, really, literally, because you're too busy on getting the crops done, protecting your land, fighting someone else for the land, other things, right? Nurturing your children, etc., etc. But nowadays, as we have started to live at least 3 times longer than what evolution has been expecting of us, we do start to actually think about multifaceted areas of our existence. And I understand that since you are coming to this channel and you're thinking, oh, she's an artist, why is she talking about things like that? Well, because I want to. So I will be doing that, and you're free here to stay and engage in the conversation. Well, anyways, what I wanted to touch on is that, yes, a long time ago, we did not have to think about things like emotional work in a sense of actual labor, because our focus was on mere survival. But nowadays, now that we live longer, now that our communities are different, it will be it will be different for us, and we should use it to our own benefit. What we should take from the experience of people, from our predecessors, from people who came from a long time ago, is that to survive, they had to rely on each other. They had to be nurturing towards each other. They had to be taking care of each other in order to build stronger communities, to build stronger cities, to build stronger civilizations. So it is natural for us to engage in emotional work. But how we do it is a whole different scope. And this is what I wanted to talk about today, because I think understanding the facets and layers and details behind what you do when you engage in emotional work is very important for artists, and it is very important for educators. Just last week when I was teaching an art class, I was thinking about what is it that I want to teach, and I was picking out a subject, right? I wanted to decide on what is it that I want to experience while I am in the teaching situation with my students. My goal was not to primarily just teach a skill. My goal was to be comfortable while this project is being done, and to make it engaging for the students so they also enjoy the process and get in touch with the project, not only from the technical perspective, but also with the feelings perspective. How do I feel about it? What is that I'm doing? Do I have a warm emotional bond or fuzzy feeling, thinking of like, oh, I did this project, it was fun, we did it with a group of people I liked, right? My classmates or my friends and my teacher that I like. I guess my point is that as a teacher or as an artist, when you're hosting an art event, really it's important to understand that you will be engaged in actual emotional work. And it's okay to make sure that you prepare yourself for this work. So for example, when I'm teaching a class, before I do that, I need to make sure that I fill my own cup. And when I talk about filling your own cup, I do not mean something general or something simple that usually comes. For example, people say, oh, you should take more walks, you should do a breathing exercise, you should do yoga, do something that calms you down, right? And that is true, but it's only half of the true, because it doesn't really it cannot be viewed as a tool for us unless it is working long term. So if walking in the woods or doing breathing exercises or doing yoga keeps you healthy and keeps you in balance for now, but doesn't work long term when you are thrown into a situation when you have to do emotional work and you have to be able to manage other people's emotions, then it means that that tool is not, it is good enough for short-term solution, but it's not good enough for the long-term solution. So you need to ask yourself that, what is it that works for me long term? I'm going to give you an example. If I do a yoga in the evening, it feels good for my body, it helps me wind down, it relaxes me, it also contributes to better sleep, etc., etc. But just doing yoga and then going to teach an art class will not actually provide, it will not last long enough for me to be able to perform and teach once I'm there. But if you do another activity, for example, in my case, it's swimming. If I go swimming in the morning, that effect of swimming will last me for at least 2 days. I will be calm for at least 2 more days after I swim. So you need to ask yourself, what is it? What kind of tool is it that I have that can work for me long term, not just right now, not just for a short period of time, but a long period of time. And you need to think, okay, I have this important thing to do. I want to teach an art class. How do I psychologically prepare myself for that, so that once I'm there, the activity that I have performed is still lasting, is still giving me the energy. So really, emotional work, to be able to perform it in a nutshell, is built on 3 things, in my personal opinion. Number 1 is the active listening skill. We talked about it, I think, as a society for a very long time, but I'm not sure if we are actually mimicking or actually doing the active listening skill versus showing as if we are doing the active listening skill. There is a difference there. I'm going to get back to that. And then number 2 is developing empathy and connection. And then one more is setting clear boundaries. But all of these 3 only work when your cup is full, when you have filled your cup. So just like I explained before, find yourself a list of things that last you a long term. I'm going to get back into that just for a little bit longer, because I want to give some more examples of what is it that allows me to perform at my, 80 to 90% capacity most of the time. And I do have, I run my own thing. I am my own boss. So I work all the time. So how do I do that? How do I not burn out? The thing is, I have found several things that do keep me in check and last me longer. And for me, it's number 1, like I said, swimming. If I get to swim, if I get into the contact with water, and it needs to be warm water. In my particular case, it's very specific. It cannot be some random cold pool. It needs to be warm water, basically. That will last me a while. If I swim, then it keeps me going for at least 2 days. Then another one that I think is important for me is sleep. And I need to sleep 8+ hours. I understand that most people do not need that much. I definitely need that much. So that's the second one. And then consistent workout and cleanliness around me. These 4 things keep me going no matter how challenging the situations in my own business are, or how challenging the students sometimes can be, or how many things I need to accomplish and how many things I need to manage, right? So that's my personal experience. And as you see, I did not include yoga in that list. I did not include food in that list. I did not include breathing exercising in that list. I did not include coloring in that list, because those things do work for me, but they only work short term. So make yourself a list. 1, short-term release, right? Short-term relief for your psyche that helps you work. And those short terms could be take a walk, get a coffee, take a stretch, I don't know. Any of the things that work for you short term, they provide an immediate relief when you are stressed, so you can then go ahead and perform emotional work with your clients. And then there should be a list with a long-term effect. And a long-term effect list would be things like, for me, it's swimming, sleep, cleanliness around me. Everything needs to be clean. And I forgot the last one I just said. Well, anyway, what you need to think of is that these things work for me long term. They have to be consistent, so then I can do my emotional labor for my clients. These things are short term and they help me right here in the moment, or they serve a very specific purpose. For example, Some people do yoga before bed so they can sleep, or breathing exercises to start your day, right? To get your brain running in the right direction. So long-term support, short-term support. See which one is filling your cup. Then once we have our cup filled, we can go ahead and work on our emotional performance and be more conscious of those three things, which are active listening. And then we have empathy and connection, developing empathy and connection with your students and with your clients. And then lastly, we have secure boundaries. To be able to say no, to be able to say, these are my rules in my class. This is what you do here. This is what you do not do here. It's extremely important. I understand, and since I have worked in public schools for a long time, and then went into my private practice journey, I noticed how some teachers are scared to establish boundaries with their students. But the thing is, once we have the boundaries established, it's much easier for us to play the game. Imagine if you are expected to play the game when you do not know the rules. It will be so hectic, it will be so annoying, it will be so hard. Any activity that you have, make sure that you establish the boundaries, establish the rules of the game, not because you're that mean teacher who is, oh my goodness, how dare you behave like that in the classroom. No, this is definitely not the scenario I'm talking about. I'm talking about introducing what is it that is expected during this particular project that we're working on. And if you make it clear and concise and hopefully put it on your 3 fingers when you explain it, number 1, we do this. Number 2, we do that. Number 3, we do not do that. Ask them to repeat it back to you. Get into your project. This is establishing the boundaries. Once the boundaries are established, once the rules of the game are established, you can go ahead and progress into developing connection. But you cannot develop emotional connection if all of the parties are not feeling secure and safe, including yourself. The teacher also needs to feel secure and safe. The nurse, once the nurse is working with you, the nurse would establish the boundaries with you, right? The artist, when you are hosting an art event, you will establish the boundaries and rules for people who are coming to see you. Any activity, any profession establishes the healthy boundaries before we start. So why does it have to be different for the teachers? Why does it have to be different for the artists? Just because these professions seem to be a little bit more of a, teachers are expected to just kind of pour their soul into it and just serve themselves to the students. If you will be served to the students, there will be nothing left for them to develop and grow from, no matter the area or the subject that you teach, right? So, going back to the subject of emotional work, we really need to make sure that we refill our cup. I want to say it one more time because it's very, very important. Nowadays, we have so many things that are bombarding us from every direction you can look at. We have Instagram, which we're on right now. And hopefully Instagram sends me some people who are capable of listening for more than just 30 seconds. That would be really great. We'll find out. We have Instagram. We have... you check your mail when you wake up during your coffee time. We have events and groups and chats that we are in touch with all the time at the reach of our hand. And we need to make sure that before we interact with anything outside, we feel what it is that we have here inside. We can't constantly keep pouring ourselves outside because eventually it will bring to burnout. It will get you to the burning out. It will bring you to the point where you have served yourself too much and you have responded to stimulus so much that you have nothing to give anymore. You are just overwhelmed and you do not want to be in that point, right? One more thing that I would like to bring up at the end of this is that I do have a book about therapy, art therapy, that helps to mitigate the stressful events of your daily life. It does come with the meditations that I have recorded myself to help your mind and psyche calm down. I will add the link to this video. I was not actually going to notice it, but now I can see how that can be actually a really good tool and how it is related to the subject. So I will copy that down. But anyway, it is a short stream. I will be adding it to YouTube, and I will be adding all the time codes there as well. If you have any questions about emotional work, about teaching art classes, about the profession of the artist or a teacher, go ahead and DM me. I would love to host another stream on that subject. And then what else? I'm wishing you to have your cup full before you do anything else, so you can be a high performer of emotional labor. Because if we do not have high performance of emotional labor, nothing will ever go anywhere. We are evolutionary driven to help each other out, to interconnect, to empower each other. But we can only do it on the high level when our own cup is full. Happy spring, and I will see you next time.